Всем привет, подписчики. А мы играем опять в Superliminal. Я вас попрошу поставить лайк и подписаться. И в этом... В прошлом ролике мы нашли вот эту функцию.
Hello and welcome to the Superliminal Developer Commentary. I'm Albert, Game Director of Superliminal. Myself and the rest of the team will be popping up every now.
Все.
Hi, my name's Chris. I was the producer and designer on Superliminal.
Hi, this is Will O'Neill, and I was the writer on Superliminal.
Okay, so that very beginning of Superliminal is actually one of the last parts we finished. Throughout development, we created so many different introductions to the game. Not all of them were cutscenes, like that one, but we ended up feeling that that in-game video sequence offered a really smooth on-ramp that let us set the framework for what's to come. By keeping it grounded in the world, rather than just a video, we felt it to be a good way to get used to.
A lot of people ask about how the resizing mechanic works. The concepts are actually quite easy. To keep an object looking the same, assume if we move the object twice as far away, it just needs to be twice as big. It's all proportional. Interestingly enough, this also works no matter what field of view you use. The hard part of this mechanic isn't the actual resizing. It's trying to figure out where the object needs to be. To do this, you need to test a weirdly shaped object with a weirdly shaped background, and try to find the right ratio for the object to be big enough to not touch anything, while keeping everything accurate and optimized.
Все, мы дослушали. Вот и вы дослушали. Ну, если хотите, читайте текст. Это что послушать?
Hey, this is Matt. I did music and sound. This very first jazz piece in the game is called I Wonder, and if it sounds at all familiar to you, that's because you just heard its melody and chord progression in the Somnoscope TV jingle back at the start of the game, which I called Smooth Wonder.
Это короткий... Ой. Коротким каким-то был. Блин. Ладно. Сейчас увеличу. Жаль, что так в реальной жизни не работает. Взял и увеличил, например. Ну... Тетрадку там, например.
Hi, I'm Logan, and I'm level designer on Superliminal. A difference with the main resizing mechanic in this game is how much freedom it gives the player. This puzzle is a good example. In most puzzle games, if you put an object on a button in this scenario, the object doesn't need to be moved anymore. The key to unlock the door removes the key from your problem space. But unfortunately, in our game, you can just turn around and grab the object from any distance away. Therefore, we've gotten good at adding barriers in many places so people won't carry an object through all puzzles forever.
Ну все, и вот этот дослушали. Или кто-то прочитал. Ну пофиг. Так, сейчас возьмем вот этот. И все, давайте слушать.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I perform gameplay programming on Superliminal. When I joined the project, there weren't really any menus except the absolute bare minimum to get the player into the game, and there wasn't any keyboard support either. So the first order of business was to add proper mouse and keyboard support to the title and pause menus. The hardest part was supporting switching between the two on the fly, because you never know when the player is going to do it, and it could lock them out of the game. With that foundation laid, I started working on controller support. In terms of the menus, there wasn't much work to do. The pad basically acts like a keyboard. But gameplay was quite a different story. As we approached launch, we all agreed that controller support wasn't quite up to par, and so we shipped without it, adding it around a month after launch. To make controllers feel as good as mouse and keyboard, I wrote a bunch of code to modify how controller input is interpreted. For mouse and keyboard, input is more or less one-to-one mapped to player movement. So you move the mouse and the camera turns. But that doesn't feel good with controllers. Trying to pick up a very small object, say a chess piece, can be quite finicky. In the end, I made it so looking around accelerates the longer the stick is pressed, and behaves differently based on whether you were looking vertically or horizontally, and also while you were holding an object. Probably the biggest change was a quote-unquote auto-lock feature, which draws the focus to a grabbable object as your cursor gets closer to it. All these changes culminated in controllers feeling much more accurate and satisfying.
Ну все, это слушали. Ладно, мы вот эту главу пройдем.
Throughout each level, we try to give subtle hints
Всё.
on which objects are grabbable and which
Это
aren't.
5 минут.
This is more of an introductory level, so it doesn't have a lot of objects. But you might notice that grabbable objects, in yellow, are complementary colors to the background colors of green and beige.
Please complete the remaining orientation activities.
Все. Сейчас вот этот активирую.
There's quite a bit of foreshadowing throughout this level. We wanted to hint at the mechanics that are going to come later in the game. For example, the projection, the clone, and the portal hallways later on. Little things like that feel like visual treats when you're playing this level, but serve as fun reminders when you play for a second time that we kind of told you the whole thing all along.
Warning, you have deviated from the orientation pathway. At the Pierce Institute, patient safety is a keynote in our corporate priority tetrahedron. A variable degree of force can and will be authorized to ensure patient safety. Please return to the orientation pathway.
Чё, все? Распакалось?
Hi there, I'm Steve, the art director of Superliminal.
О, Стив.
One of our main visual touchstones for this section centers around a couple of silly questions. What would someone in the early 90s dream up as a futuristic testing facility? And how could they build that on a shoestring budget with infinite time? I feel like those two questions were ones we actually asked ourselves more than once during the process of making this game.
Ну все, это слушали. Я вас попрошу поставить лайк и подписаться. Это
When we were
урок
playtesting,
10 минут.
we realized
наверное.
that players were getting tripped up on different aspects of the resize mechanic. So we try to make each puzzle in this level teach a specific action. The cheese puzzle is a way of forcing players to make something from very small to very big. And the puzzle after that is the opposite. This broken window puzzle is to teach you how to make things small and fit through a hole, but at a distance, so you can't simply walk up to it.
Ну все, вот. Те же самые уровни, как и были при игре еще вот это. Ладно, не буду нутить. Замолчу.
We had this looping hallway for a while, but it was very nondescript and players got confused on where they were and they would get turned around. So our artist Steve helped mock up some windows and landmarks so people can tell where they are. Immediately, we found that playtesters weren't getting lost anymore and understood the moment.
Все.
We had this looping hallway for a while, but it was very nondescript and players got confused on where they were and they would get turned around. So our artist Steve helped mock up some windows and landmarks so people can tell where they are. Immediately, we found that playtesters weren't getting lost anymore and understood the moment.
Все, теперь понятно. Вот. О, еще.
Our core game mechanic is so novel that we immediately drew comparisons to other quasi-sci-fi puzzle games. And since our game is about playing with and subverting expectations, we wanted to lean into that and start the first level with a kind of test chamber aesthetic, and immediately break that going forward. Narratively, this space is what Dr. Pierce planned to have his dream therapy program look like before it all went wrong.
Please stand by for polite recognition on your completion of the Somnasculpt
Вот
orientation.
и 9
You
минут
did it.
прошло.
To maximize the time allotted for your therapeutic journey, please do not delay in proceeding through the final doorway as indicated.
Контрольной точки отойдем. Вот и все, славно. Еще 30 секунд осталось. Ладно, я вас попрошу поставить лайк и подписаться. И вот. А если пройти, то, наверное, не получится. А если постараться, то будет чики-пуки. Хоть проверим, что там. Хопа. Блин. Нет. Не получилось. О! У меня хоть что-то получилось. Чтобы я состарел. Но... Ладно, я вас попрошу поставить лайк и подписаться. И в следующем ролике тут увидимся. Всем пока.